We just want to welcome you to Testimony Mountain today. I believe Nikki and I getting on here today is a testimony because you would not believe the things that have gone wrong on her end, my end, and everything in between. But we are overcoming. And so it's my delight to be here with Nikki Pugh. She's a good friend of mine. She's part of our transformation groups, as well as she helps me to edit the Testimony Mountain. So she's usually behind the scenes, but I'm so glad today that we get to hear a little bit of her story in this whole process. And so I'm just going to let her open up and share what's on her heart today with you.
Thank you, Adina. It's an honor, and I have a feeling this is going to be a lot of fun.
Yes.
And it was just really interesting because the ways that we had to move and change to kind of make this interview happen this morning with a lot of obstacles is kind of like the theme
Yes. Yes.
of this interview, and kind of like what I wanted to talk about. I'm very, very new to walking with the Lord consciously. I had an experience in 2019 where I basically just started listening to a small voice, a very gentle, peaceful voice in my head that I thought was coming from me or my higher self, or I don't know. It's like, this is different. I'm going to listen to this voice. I was in a very difficult situation with a relationship. I was actually living in England at the time, and going through a lot of my own anxiety, depression, and with a partner who was going through kind of the same. And so we were in a very dark place. That voice I now know was Yeshua.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
Holy Spirit. Gently nudging me to do something different with my life, helping me, encouraging me, never forcing, but just suggesting that I look at things from a different perspective. My MO, my pattern, up until that time, with pretty much everything in my life, especially with relationships, with family, and with men, even with friendships, was to run.
Yeah.
Whenever things got a little too scary for me, or I went into fight or flight, or I got triggered, at that point, I knew about trauma, I knew about triggering, but I thought it happened to everybody else. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And I'm a natural health researcher, writer, so I've done a lot of academic study about this stuff. Oh yeah, I know that happens to other people. It doesn't happen to me though. So I decided to listen to that voice. Now that was a free will choice.
Yes.
But his whispers, that was the grace of God, So it's a partnership. And that kind of blossomed into a conscious walking with the Lord that's still ongoing. I'm still learning. I'm still growing. Fast forward to about 6 months ago, and I'm fully into have been fully into transformations for about a year. Had several experiences, memories coming, programming, possibly deliberate or just subconscious, just because of the world we live in. Awareness of that surfacing. And I was in a sweet little apartment in the mountains. Things were going good. I had just gotten finished with the virtual summit a few months before, and I thought I was living pretty. It's like things are good. I'm getting provision stuff. But I feel like, not that it's a works thing or striving or anything, but it's almost like it's in our design, and the Lord wants us to grow and change and at least this is happening. This has happened in my life. Like to kind of be the best that we can be, and that
Yes.
means stretching us a little bit.
Oh,
Of course,
yes.
you know, it's like, oh, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. What happened was, because of the economy and stuff, my I was going to lose some rental assistance
Mhm.
that I was relying on to pay my rent, really high prices in Arizona, as everyone knows. And then B, my landlord raised the rent.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm like, I'm not going to be able to live here. And this idea started kind of coming in. I was sitting and soaking and just, getting into a meditative state with the Lord, going up into the heavenly, seeing what this was all about. And the idea kept coming in to get an RV. I was like, why? What? I mean, I'm barely making it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just showing this progression because I really feel I have a different definition of a miracle than maybe other people do. I think that every time the God drops a little inspirational idea
Mhm.
in your head, that's a miracle.
It
That's
is.
that's how I
Yes.
define it. Because that is like clay, or that's the paintbrushes and the canvas that you get to work in partnership with the family, with Yeshua, with Ruach, with Abba, and create something beautiful with them
Yes.
here on earth. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if you choose to step into that. So I'm like, of course, I don't always see that right away. I'm like, panic. Why are you showing me this RV thing, Lord? And what am I, you take it on yourself. How am I going to get the money? Blah, blah. You immediately go into, how am I going to do this?
Yes.
But no, right? It's a partnership. And we get to just lay all of that striving and all of that worry about everything at his feet, at the foot of the cross.
Yes.
That's where I think uh, his yoke is easy and his burden is light comes in.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so I just was, that was the first time I think that I really stepped into, I'm going to yes, I say yes to this crazy idea. Like I'm not in my life. I'm the person that would jump in with both feet
Mhm.
to all kinds of crazy experiences and projects and stuff like that. But then I strive to make
Yeah.
it happen. And I do make it happen. But then I'm worn out in my body.
Yeah.
I'll take on in the past, I take on anything. I just wear myself out,
Mhm.
and that does result in disease and ill health and
Yes.
a worn out system and the whole thing. But this was the first time that I was just like, okay, yes, I say yes to the RV idea, Lord, be specific. I say yes to doing it in rest.
Yes.
I say yes to not knowing how it's going to happen, and 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 to stepping just one more foot into what faith is, because I really have no idea. I have absolutely no idea what faith is. I knew that it was, I've seen it in the spirit as like an actual substance. Like, so, it says in the Bible, faith is a substance. Like I really took that literally, and I've seen it as like a squishy substance, as a jelly substance, as a sea. I mean, like as an actual thing that you can touch in the heavenlies. But
Mhm.
here on earth, I'm just beginning, and I'm still just beginning to understand what faith is. But it's like it was a leap of faith, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
Um, and it was a leap of faith in learning what faith is.
Yes.
Teach me, oh Lord, what is faith? I want to know.
And you had a
So
lot of opposition too. You had people telling you were crazy and
crazy. What are you doing? Just, you know, um, And even when the miracles started happening to get the provision for that, they were like, use that money to pay your rent. What are you doing with this crazy RV thing? So with, within, I'd say 2 weeks of stepping in with the family, with the Lord, saying yes to that, um, within walking distance to my house, I connected with a girl who has a coffee shop,
Mm.
and and I was hired on a part-time basis. I could kind of create my own schedule with the idea that that during the busy season I'd be working more, and it just turned into this beautiful extra source of income that actually was very lucrative because I didn't know it at the time. Again, I was faced with I could do this, I could do this, I could do this to bring in the extra money. There's an action attached to the inspiration. So it's like I'm not the kind of person to sit on my butt and wait for things. I'm a doer.
Yes.
So I think the Lord's like that's her MO. She's not going to do that. So okay, got the inspiration. How are we going to make this happen? Was my idea. Come on, Lord, how are we going to make this happen?
Yeah.
So it's this constant gently nudging me, just like at that first time back in 2019. Calm the body system, go within, let me show you what the next step is.
Yes.
So, this next step was to say yes to this job. And this was the first time, and I could still do my writing work. This was the first time that I had worked an hourly job in years,
Hmm.
maybe 10 years, because I'd been a freelancer. And so that was a stretch. At first, I thought I was only going to make $12 an hour, but after I said yes to that, um, because that was what felt right when I was listening to the Lord. I learned that it actually made a lot of tips, and I made
Oh,
actually about
yes.
$35 an hour. So I worked that the whole summer, was able to save enough through kind of just setting that aside exclusively for the RV to buy a really cute little 1993 Winnebago. Um, and I thought, hey, you know, I'm ready to hit the road. I'm a traveler. I'm gonna have a little sip of my warm coffee here. Um, I thought I was gonna hit the road. The Lord puts these really amazing miracles in front of you, and then you go on a trajectory, and then your mind takes over, and it's like, oh, it's going to be about this and this and this, and you set up this whole thing.
Hmm.
I'm not saying to not have goals, not have dreams, but remember the partnership. I'm talking to myself here. Remember the partnership. So I had this whole thing in my mind that I was going to just hit the road. I was going to go visit my parents for a little while,
Hmm.
and my whole family lives in Southern California. It's been a while since I have connected with my family. And so I thought, well, during the month of October, maybe halfway through November, I'll do Thanksgiving. Okay.
Yeah.
Just, and then I'm out of there. Right. That's enough. That'll be like enough. There's history of times when I've been totally estranged from family, times when I've tried to enter in and I've gotten triggered and I've gotten reactive, and then things blow up and then we don't see, off and on as families go. And I have to say that since probably the pandemic, there's been a deeper splintering there was
Yes.
past tense, a deeper splintering of my family.
Which is
Um,
happening in a lot of families
yes,
around because of this.
yes,
And that's
yes.
part of the reason why we wanted to talk about this today, because many of you are gathering around this time for Christmas, and it may not be an easy situation. And so I go ahead and continue, Nikki, because you have such a beautiful testimony of what the Lord's been doing.
Well, it's not perfect, but I think that I think that it's entering into the realm of miraculous. It really is. But
Yes.
you know what? I want to just back up just a minute and just explain something that I saw with the Lord recently, was that he kind of showed me a macro level. It's like I'm on a trajectory in my like the last 6 months, get the RV, come back home,
Yes.
visit for a while, right? In my mind, I'm thinking this. There's a point where we all intersect. So I'm on my journey of coming home to my family here on earth. I'm also coming home to the family of God, which is
Yes.
amazing. But each one of my family members, and I just like people to consider this, they're also on a journey.
Mhm.
I personally believe, whether or not they know it, they're on a journey with the Lord.
Yes.
A lot of my family do walk with the Lord in different ways, different traditions, all, different theological viewpoints and realities in the Christian realm. Some of them don't. Some of them are totally secular.
Yeah.
No matter what I was seeing, what I was shown was that each one is walking their journey with Yeshua, whether they're conscious of it or not. And we all intersected at this point in time during this holiday season. This is the season for this. I don't
Yes.
know how long this is going to last, this coming together, this learning, but a lot of times it's like looking at the situation outside of my own lens. He
Mm.
shows me a macro and I see others coming and they're going through their journey, their hardships, their heartaches, their joys, their questions. This is, let's just face it, I mean, it's a hard time for families. It's also a really hard time for people in general, from individuals not knowing what's going on in our world. Even if you don't listen to the mainstream media, you listen to other media, or you don't at all, you're still not going to know 100% what's going on in the world right now. And that's scary, you know?
Yes.
So it's a tough time. And then I had already had a little bit of, I had said before that there was already a little bit of a division, actually a
Mhm.
lot of division in my family politically. And so I knew I was coming into that. But I was dedicated to stepping in faith, and I arrived with the RV, my first little big road trip, thinking I was going to stay for a month and a half,
Yes.
make connection, kind of see what was going on with my family, with my parents, and then I was going to hit the road again. So within a week of landing in my parents' backyard here in San Diego County, um, within 72 hours, I was there for a week. I was here for a week. And then within 72 hours, I got phone calls and emails from all of my clients except one saying that they are going to put their um, projects with me on hold.
Wow.
I've done really good work with them. It's like, we don't want to, like, we're not firing you or anything. We're just, because of the economy or whatever, putting things on hold.
Mhm.
Okay, this is what I've done for the last 10 years. And
Wow.
so my income went from decent, to zero to $90 a month. And I'm at my parents' house. Um, I immediately went into panic mode. I mean, there was a discussion I had recently with somebody that it's like she was sharing a story of somebody that has walked with the Lord for many many years, but then when a crisis hit, that whole what they thought that they were walking in, strong faith,
Mhm.
purposeful, all goes out the window. I
Yes.
mean, I can kind of relate to that a little bit with this because I went into panic mode. I went into fight or flight. I felt trapped. I felt like um, the rug had been wiped, taken out from under me. And I was at my parents. So I went into this kind of little girl reactionary mode with them as well for a little while. And I've really, really had to press in to help me. I
Yes.
don't know, there's a scripture in Paul is talking, I think it might have been in Mark or something, where it says that when you don't know what to pray, the Holy Spirit intercedes.
Yes, yes.
And I was in that spot. I was just like, I don't even know what to pray. I am so locked down and panicked right now because of losing my income and all the dreams and hopes I had had for like just the following month of getting out of there and traveling and seeing friends. And I really do believe that the Holy Spirit does intercede.
Yes.
Maybe just knows the frequency of our heart, bypassing the mind, just connect with it's okay, just rest.
Yes.
I have to say that I didn't listen. I didn't. I was like, I'm hearing you say, I'm going to get teary-eyed. I'm hearing you say, just rest. Don't worry about it. Take this time, use this time. You have time now. I didn't listen. I was like on the computer applying for any old writing job. I just need to bring in the income.
Yeah.
My programming and my trauma a lot of time has to do with finances,
Yeah.
having to do things that I'm not proud of to make money. And that goes back generationally. So it's in my bloodline. So about a week after losing all of my income, my father came down with a severe flu with the C. He took a test. He got the C. We all know what the C is. And then my mom got it, and then I got it. So within a week and a half, I'd lost all my income, and then I got the C.
Now you have to rest.
Have to rest. Absolutely have to rest. I think it was the grace of God that we all had that experience of this at the same time. Looking back, this might seem weird, but I feel like it was kind of a blessing that we all got that. Because first of all, I had to rest, the first 48 hours of that thing, all you have to do, it was hard for me to just move from one room to the next. I moved
Yes.
out of the RV and into my parents' house because it was getting a little cold there. It was easier to use bathrooms like that. And yeah, we all, my whole family runs a pretty high strung, and it was just like, boom, I have to rest. My mom has to rest. My dad has to rest. We all have to rest. And it was like a reboot. It was like a reset, when you turn off your computer and shut everything down and then slowly start everything up. You can't start everything up all at once. You got to turn, the computer on, and then you have to turn your printer on, whatever, like different accessory units. So I feel like it was a real reset. And looking back at that time, which was only about, this was end of October. Yeah. And during Halloween time, we were pretty sick. And then beginning of November, what that did, I feel, was like solidify us as a unit, in a household. Whenever you have people living together, whether they're family or not, there's an energy that's created. I think that I'm just kind of getting this now. It bypassed a lot of energy patterns that had been in the past. And because we were all sick, we all had to kind of share work and responsibility. And you kind of just do what you have to do in the moment just to kind of eat and get the natural health remedies and medicines that you need to, we kind of had to all look after each other, me and my folks. And so it was like, wow, we just have to kind of get these things done. And I have to step it up to the plate as well. And I have to go past my reactionary behavior. I think anybody can relate when you're with your parents. Sometimes you feel like a little kid.
Yes. My parents are coming next week, so I'm getting ready for that.
And when you're with your siblings, you go into those patterns, and some of it's cute and fun and loving, and some of it's not. Some of it can be kind of ugly.
Yes.
And so it's like cherishing those familiar bonds and those patternistic ways of behaving that are fun and that you can remember memories and stuff. But when it moves into harmful, that's, and if I, like, there were moments in that whole thing when I would go into reaction and I would pass judgment and I would feel sorry for myself and I would get angry at one or the other, and that was when I really had to press in, and I had to just sit in the sun and breathe.
Yeah.
Just take a break. I had to remove myself, and sometimes I still do. I have to remove myself from the situation. If I feel like another is reacting or, whatever, going off on, maybe they're having a bad day or whatever, or I'm having a bad day, or I'm feeling yet achy in my body or whatever. I had to sometimes just remove myself. And a lot of times the Lord would show me sit in nature, sit in the sun, just look at a tree, look at a bird, listen to soaking music. We know biochemically that lowers the brain waves, takes you out of beta and into alpha. It calms the stress response in your body, and really, sometimes the Lord does intervene when you're in fight or flight to kind of reach in from into all that gunk of all the chaotic energy to stop you, to give you an insight. But a lot of times it can't come, those insights and those divine moments, and that even that feeling of the Holy Spirit being present around you, you can't connect with it when you're in fight or flight.
Yeah.
So a lot of times it would just be, going into that space to calm my nervous system, especially as I got out of being really, really sick into kind of that yucky, weird mode where you're like still coughing and hacking, but your mind is starting to function again,
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
can all relate. Probably most of us had a really bad flu like that. So we were all going through that at once. Um, so then fast forward to, let's say, at the tail end of the sickness, I really took it to heart. Okay, I hear you. I'm going to rest. I'm going to use this precious time to really do things in a different way. And I cannot tell you how out of my wheelhouse that is. I have been striving, I'm a workaholic. I'll say, I'm so clear. I was a
Yeah.
workaholic my whole life. So to not do try to control the situation to bring in more income was really difficult. But it became obvious. I would kind of tiptoe back into that area and apply for a job that really wasn't in my heart. Immediate rejection. I would meet with a person, just happened just the other day. I'm still trying to do it. Um, Sorry, I'm going with somebody else. So the door is closed to that kind of work with the Lord. And so I'm like, what is going on here, Lord? So then for years, I've heard my parents talk about all the stuff that they have in their house and how they want to sell it.
Mhm.
And I just kind of like, okay, yeah, they're just talking, whatever. The Lord, again, it's kind of like the RV idea that he just highlighted every time a lot of times it's like listening to Yeshua, the Holy Spirit, Father, however, whatever resonates with you, in the moment, in real time.
Yes.
Notice what he highlights with your spiritual eyes, your spiritual ears. Is he shining a light on a certain something, or somebody's saying something, and it's almost like my auditory senses would pick up on what they were saying. So every time my mom would kind of complain a little bit like, oh, we have so much stuff, I want to get rid of this stuff, and there was this feeling of overwhelm that I could feel, that I often resonated with, like, I just kind of react to that. He was highlighting that. Again, there's a friend of mine, and that's a reverend and a pastor in Taos, calls it a God drop. It'll
Yes.
be a
Yes.
drop. There's something there. So I was faithful. I had no idea where this was going. like, where are you taking me, Lord? Just like with Arby. Um, and I would press in. I would like, Mom, tell me more about that. Pop told me more about that. And so then little by little, the plan formed. It wasn't my plan. It's the Lord's plan to just start selling the stuff on eBay, Etsy. And what was interesting is that they keep bringing more and more stuff out. And some of the stuff is really nice collectible stuff. It's like, where the heck did you get that? Oh, I don't know, at a garage sale somewhere
Yeah.
20 years ago. The stuff is still coming out. So now we have a little Etsy shop. Yeah, Pearl Onion. It's a Etsy shop. We have stuff on eBay, on Poshmark, and we're starting to trickle in a little bit of income. I'm learning a new skill set. And so then Thanksgiving arrived at our house while we're kind of in the middle of this, putting stuff. Now it's so cute because there are these moments in this whole experience where I can feel on a spirit level and even on a soul level that it resonates with my heart, that real healing for my family is happening
Yes, yes.
through me, through my mom and dad. Um, uh, but it's healing on such a profound level because I really believe that this is the season right now for healing family. I
Yeah.
really, really feel
Yes,
that.
yes.
So it's not just me. I really feel like this is it has the potential for many, many families to experience this, each in their own unique way and also in a way that respects boundaries and your own, experience. Every family's different. So I'm
Yeah.
just, sharing mine. But, up until Thanksgiving, we had developed the system. At that point, we had about maybe 20 things online, but we had developed the system where it's like we have this big room that we converted into the eBay room. And my mom has her little office area where she does the inventory. So she's cleaning the jewelry and my dad has this research section. I have my social media and posting section. So we have our little departments here. And, I have to say, it feels like it's given me like I'm kind of excited about it. Like, who would think that I would be excited about looking at this, no offense, old junk in my mind, judging this old
Yes.
junk, quote unquote, um, and just kind of going down the rabbit hole about where this might come from and, it's just fun, it's fun. I mean, that's the thing. This process of healing gets to be fun.
Yes, 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 yes.
And even the hard stuff gets to be a underlying frequency of joy. If it touches your heart, if it helps to expand your heart, go for it because it's of the Lord. Anyways, so there are these moments, these scenes again that he highlights from these times where we're just kind of busy bees working in that office, and my dad, my mom goes down to make lunch or somebody makes lunch, and we've got our little snacks and we're working at our little departments. My parents, obviously are retired, so and they live a fairly busy life, but somehow this just works for us. This is what we needed. And
Yes.
it's not about the actual work. It's about what we're doing together. Really, that is the energy frequency of teamwork within families. Imagine that. I never in a million years would imagine teamwork happening in my family because most of the time we're just,
Yep.
every family's got it. Come on, can we just be honest? So I have to say, my mom said yes to having Thanksgiving at our house for the first time in about 2 or 3 years since the pandemic. We've been doing our own thing, just nuclear families. I was alone last year,
Yeah.
but she invited everybody over. We had about 10 people. We now this motley crew, right? Secular people, very, very devout Christian, kind of traditional. Then there's me, and a couple other family members that are expanded, heavenly minded, kingdom minded Christian.
Mhm.
Um, you know, uh, one end of the political spectrum and the other. And, you can kind of imagine, decisions that had to be made based on your belief system
Mhm.
that would be in complete conflict and that would create a lot of reaction and worry.
Yes.
You know, I'll admit it, but for that day, we all came together. There was some conversations that happened beforehand, but I have to say that it was my mom because it's her, she's gonna do most of the work. It's my mom and dad.
Mhm.
This is their house. I was already yes, sign me up. I'm totally like, I want to create peace in the family. They stepped in to a loving place. They
Mhm.
did. They said, and my mom said it with her own mouth, I don't care where we are politically.
Yes.
I want to have a peaceful dinner with my family on Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And that was the Lord speaking through her, that was from her heart. That was her MO. That was what was going to happen. So, again, all of our journeys converging. My mom is on a journey with the Lord and a deeper, it touches my heart that my parents all are on a deeper conscious journey with the Lord now.
Yeah.
But each one of my family members are on their journey. And we have another family member who is on the other end of the spectrum and is very vocal. So, how's this going to work out? My
Mhm.
mom wanted to invite that person as well. Everybody's welcome. Ooh, how's that going to work out? So, we had a little bit of a conversation and she received it. And there were ground rules. Just are not going to talk about the politics
Yes.
and even religion.
Mhm.
You can talk about things that are on our hearts that are meaningful. And so, some people may disagree with this, and that's totally okay, especially in this intense time that we're having right now, where people's lives really are on the line. I'll just leave it at that. I believe we don't have to talk about it all the time with family members. We don't have to, or even with friends, we don't have to. We can always find a common ground that resonates with our hearts. Now, maybe that common ground is animals.
Mhm.
Maybe that common ground is nature. Maybe that common ground is just what's going on with the family internally, if we can have a loving conversation about that.
Yeah.
And
I think that is so, so key, Nikki, what you're saying, because those ground rules, we didn't have that at our Thanksgiving. And I can relate because we have some mostly polar opposites. And, there were times when I just had to step away for a little bit because the intensity of the conversation and when it was so diametrically opposed to what I believe, I didn't feel I could sit there and just listen and nod my head.
yeah,
And so I think the things that you're talking about are so powerful in having those ground rules and being upfront about it.
yeah,
Sometimes we just try to dance around a lot of issues while we're together and go, "Oh, I can't wait till we're not together. We can,
exactly.
be
Yeah.
truthful or whatever." And so this is really powerful what you're sharing.
And I have to say that relationship, what I found in my life is that deepening relationship with the family of God, with Yeshua in particular, for me, um, makes me courageous
Yes.
to speak up with my family,
Mhm.
but in a different way.
Yes.
I don't I don't speak up. So we had the ground rules established, and I just think that's good in general. For me to step into maybe having a discussion with my parents first and then with others about establishing the ground rules was courageous, because I'm not, I can be vocal and I'm definitely very chatty, but I have a hard time sometimes expressing myself, especially with my family
Yes.
because of past or whatever. I want to just keep silent, keep quiet. But the Lord made me strong. I know there's a verse for that. I don't know what it is, but you can feel the strength. You can feel this courage that doesn't come from you. It comes from the divine that's flowing through you to say, let's have this conversation.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, that, okay, so we all have the ground rules. Well, people are going to do what they're going to do, right? Once you get everybody in the playing field,
Yeah.
somebody's going to be running the opposite direction. It just happens, right? So there were moments, but I know for me, there was so much. I know that whatever happened up to that point with all of our journeys, there was just so much love that there was wisdom that was flowing in the room. I could feel it. It was palpable. It was from the Holy Spirit. And I feel like also it was being called wisdom was in the room to just say, because the intention on everybody's heart, and some people were more conscious of it than others, was to have a heartfelt, loving meal together, to sit at the table and break bread as a family. So when one person did kind of go off a little bit, it was actually this happened twice. My mom came to her and just hugged her.
Wow. Wow. I
And I
love
was like, wow, I'm just sitting back here. I don't, you know, and she just melted. She was kind of getting all like flustered, talking whatever. She just gave her a hug. You're my family member. I love you. And what happened was she just melted. You could almost see like she just forgot whatever she was talking about. Because I think a lot of times we get riled up because
Yes.
of ego, because of hubris. I'm just
Yes.
being honest, because we think we know what's right, and because of fear.
Yeah.
And that's one side or the other.
Yep.
Whatever political side you're on, I just feel it in my heart. The riling up and the trying to convince is based on fear.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
The Lord has a plan for our planet. It's going to
Yes.
happen.
Yes.
And let your heart be open to those around you as you feel, that is safe to do so. So that was beautiful. So there was that one little altercation, and the rest was just, and it wasn't even an altercation. It was just somebody kind of going off a little bit. And I could see like others around, like, oh, how's this going to work out? Kind of like that nervous laugh that happens,
Yes. Yes.
you know, but it was just so beautiful to see my mom just calm. It was like, and it was kind of like there was authority in that. It was almost like she was like, this is my house. And for this moment and this day, it's going to be about love. It's going to be about family. It's going to be about coming together. And no, it's almost like she could feel the frequency of it shifting, because she's pretty in tune. And she just gave her a hug, and it was just so beautiful.
Well, I think
So,
that's part of it is, looking towards Christmas, if you're going to be with family, is what are the intentions of your heart?
yes.
Are you feeling that nudge to be courageous and to set some of those ground rules, and to walk it out? Because I know I was kind of mostly have been in the past the people pleaser. And so we just try to go along with everything that's happening and just, be there instead of being able to stand up courageously and put those things into place and set that atmosphere
Yeah.
instead of being tossed around by whatever is happening.
Yeah. Another thing that's kind of highlighting for me right now is, the family of God can give you wisdom
Yes.
to know what to do in that moment. There has been times where things have gotten heated between me and my parents, because we're in the same household, but we have pretty different political views.
Yes.
And uh, they've given me wisdom to stop my own reaction to it, because I feel myself getting heated and flushed, and I'm like, but I see it. A couple of times, okay, so that wisdom comes through. I say yes to the wisdom, and there's a stoppage of time within my body system. I feel it. It's like a pause. Even though the other person might be reacting, there's a
Yeah.
pause moment where I
Yes.
feel the wisdom flowing through, and then I basically just say yes. And that's looked very different in different situations. It's only happened a few times. A lot of times, a couple of times I had to remove myself. But a couple of times it was like the wisdom and insight, and it's not from me. I can't do this with my reactionary brain, right? To gently shift the conversation
Yes.
out of a reactionary point to something that we can both in our hearts have a commonality to get the energy flow between the two individuals who have genuine love for each other back into a heart coherence.
Yes.
People have Justin Abraham talks about heart coherence. There's other people in the secular community that actually do a good job talking about heart coherence. If you want to know the science behind it, heart math is one of them that I really admire.
Yes.
But there is an energetic component. 95% of our communication is nonverbal. We've
Yes.
measured that, and that nonverbal communication, it's up to you how much of that communication can be divinely inspired, right? Divinely inspired. Just by honoring your own journey, so in those moments where I've really stepped in, it doesn't happen all the time. We're not, first of all, we're not perfect. So it's like, if you react and the whole thing blows up, okay, again, the process is still the same. Take a break, take a breather, calm the stress responses, listen. But there's been moments where I've kind of like gotten it right or whatever, it's like we're in that heated moment. I stop, I listen, I allow wisdom to come in. And before anything comes out of my mouth, it's been an interesting observation and experience. It's like the Lord shows me what's happening on an energetic level with that other person. And a lot of times it could be, tiredness, fatigue, sadness about something, fear. It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Yep. Yep.
And it's like, wow. And I don't know, I'm not going to peer into somebody else's mind, even if I had the power to do that. It's just a nudge. It's just a feeling. There's something else going on with this person. So it's like, again, expanding my perspective and my perception outside of just what's happening with me. And possibly that could be stepping in just for a tiny little bit to how Christ sees us. It says we get to step into things to the mind of Christ. It's where his body, where the temples, where he lives. And I think that can mean our heart and our brain too. So that's been kind of a journey that's been pretty amazing lately, where I have a deeper appreciation for what the other is going through. That doesn't mean that I get to be, a doormat or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's just so much more going on with each of us right now in this very intense time than we would see if we didn't have God's perspective.
Yes. I find that so many times, particularly with survivors, is you're seeing through a particular lens of that trauma.
Yeah.
And when you can ask the Lord, show me what your perspective is on the situation. And oftentimes you go, it's not even about me at all. It's about their stuff. And then, we can move with compassion, knowing it's not rejection or, anger or whatever directed at us. Sometimes it's their own anger and hatred of themselves that,
Yeah.
gets projected onto us.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. It's so
and so
true.
it's such a beautiful way of shifting is understanding that, in transformations, we talk about this of being reparented by the perfect family, Father, Holy Spirit, and Jesus, other sibling, and understanding, you know, all of our families, have hurt us in different ways growing up. And as we can forgive and release them from our judgment and be reparented, all of these parts in us that react to all of these things, these
Yeah.
triggers, but
Yeah.
being able to calm that down and
Yeah.
being able to reorient how we flow in these family dynamics when we have opportunity to come together.
Yeah.
So powerful, so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, it's a journey that I'm on right now. So I'm being pretty vulnerable with it. It's not a perfect journey. I don't get it right every single time, but my heart is committed to it. And again, my heart is also committed to not knowing what's going to happen
Yeah,
next month
yeah.
or in 3 months, because again, my brain wants to go, okay, great. We've got family healing going on. We had a great Thanksgiving. We're going to have this exact same kind of Christmas. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then come January, I'm going to get a job. It's going to be great. I'll be able, I can work online and can travel and I'll hit the road again. I have no idea where this is going. I have no idea.
Yes,
But I know it's beautiful right now.
yes.
And I know that hearts have been healed um, by the decisions to walk in love that my parents have made.
Mhm.
Those decisions, and other family members have made. Um, you know, not like that all of a sudden they're saints. No, but there's been points along the way that they have chosen love over um, hurts,
Yeah,
fears, like you're saying, and I have too, and that has created massive healing in my family. And I believe that goes back to cleanse bloodlines as well.
yes.
What we're doing right now, what we do in the heavenlies, absolutely,
Mhm,
as individuals and collectively, but what we do here on earth to create these memories.
mhm.
Family get-togethers during the holidays are great chances to make good memories. We've got a lot of bad memories associated with holidays. I've got them too, but we can make good ones, and we
Yes.
can let the family of God lead us into that. And another really profound shift for me, I'll just be vulnerable. There was a point where I couldn't, in, my mid 30s or whatever, leading up to mid 30s, where I couldn't even talk to my parents without getting so massively triggered and reactionary that I would just completely shut down. Like my whole body would just be in like deer in headlights state. I
Yeah.
don't know what was going on, where that was connected to. That's a conversation for another time. I mean, I have some ideas, but um, it was like lockdown. I could not. Some things my mom or my dad would say would just bring me into total shutdown,
Mhm.
and I would have such shame and frustration around that, and it would hurt my body physically. I would have heart palpitations. I would go into an anxiety attack.
Mhm.
The difference for me, quite frankly, is that now my reference of worth, of who I am and kind of who I am accountable to,
Yes.
My relationship has shifted to the larger family.
Yes.
It's between me and that family. And that doesn't disrespect or dishonor my family here on earth. In fact, I'm able, because my frame of reference for my worth and who I am, my identity as a daughter is I'm the daughter of Abba, you know, of Ruach and Yeshua, and I've got an entire citizenship in heaven that I'm just starting to unpack. That doesn't negate what and who I am here on earth. In fact, I bring that down, and I'm able to show so much love and compassion and genuine desire to connect with my earthly family, that it just makes things better.
It does.
You know, it's like, anyways.
That is so, so good, Nikki. And we just want to encourage you who are listening to this is we're all on this journey. And, if you're not at a point of being able to connect with your natural family at this time, it's okay. There's times where we do have those boundaries where this is just too toxic for me and for them,
Yeah,
that,
absolutely.
we're not going to do this. But the
Absolutely.
more and more we can be preparing our heart for that time, because I believe God's heart is for reconciliation, for restoration. Not all of it may be completed here, but I believe one day it will be. And so when we
Absolutely.
can have that framework of reference for it, the Lord can do so much more than when we're just kind of in our stuck place battling with our reactions and our triggers.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you want to share just a little bit about what else you do with the writing poetry, where people
Oh,
can
yeah.
connect with you, or
Thank
anything
you.
else?
Yeah. So, and that kind of ties into the trajectory that I'm on now, that is happening in this household and all that stuff. So I've got my little schedule of, kind of bringing in a little bit of cash now with the Etsy stuff that everybody is working on. We've got our little departments. It's so cute. Um, and it's allowed me, and just saying yes to rest with the Lord has allowed me to hope, at first to hope and dream again that I could possibly write the kind of works that I want to write, that is in my heart. Not even that I want to write, that's in my heart and my spirit to write. So I started out way back when as a poet,
Mhm.
and I would just write, and a lot of it was like angsty and angry, but I just needed to get it out.
Yeah.
And I would just write reams of poetry. And some of them got published, and some of them people said they were quite good. But I think that I was in a different time then.
Mhm.
Started to again look those little God drops, those little miracle inspirations. Every inspiration is a miracle in my book.
Yes. Yes.
Why don't you just start writing poetry again? And like, the mind goes in, I can't make money on that.
Yeah.
What's that about? That's a waste of time. That had been my MO for like 3 decades. We're not going to enter the poetry thing because there's no money for it. Come
Yeah.
on. Okay. So, anyways, I'm saying that to myself. So, so I started to kind of write poetry, and I just would say, I just had my pen, my notebook. Lord, just flow through me. If this is what you want me to do, just do it. So I started writing again, writing poetry, writing poetry for a few days. I would just write, and then started unpacking. Why don't you post a poem every day during the holidays? So starting a couple days before Thanksgiving, and I'm still doing it. I publish a poem a day. It's an inspirational a God inspired poem. They're all over the board in terms of style or whatnot. Some are long, some are really short. but I'm noticed a trend in they're all meant to be insightful and inspiring.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of them have to do with remembering who you are, remembering your identity in Christ. And it's just been a beautiful process that I'm still learning as well. So I do publish those on my blog, nikkilynpugh.com. And I also have, and I put those out on social media, the usual spaces there. I also have starting to form a small membership for just like a few bucks a month. You get some extra content from me, like to inspire you if you're a writer or a creative
Yes.
to step into encouragement. There's actually a lot of things in scripture that are encouraging us to be creators, to create. And a lot of times we can express our heavenly experiences, even like heavenly colors, heavenly sounds, and things like that. That it's like, how do I express this in words? You can do that in a fun way through poetry, through art, through music. So there's actually that creativity explosion, I think, happening right now from the kingdom down into the earth, and I can just feel that. So you can go on my Ko-fi site. We'll put the links down. And the last thing is just like a little, and you can go to nikkilynpugh.com to subscribe to that and get the blogs. Sign up to Ko-fi, post it there, social media. And then also coming in 2023, I'm going to be doing some offerings with a website called kingdomwriters.net. Kingdom
Yay.
Writers. Yay! Which I think we're going to probably have some journaling groups, some encouragement, maybe some Zoom groups, just to help people to step into journaling. Journaling can be very healing for trauma, for sure.
Yes.
And a creative expression. And we'll just see where it goes. So best way to tap into what's going to happen with that is just to subscribe to nikkilynpugh.com at this point, and then we'll unpack that as we go.
So good. So good. I so appreciate that, Nikki. So if you need inspiration, if you're interested in that creativity, if you're a survivor and want to step into that as part of your healing, encourage you to connect with Nikki on this journey. And so it's been so wonderful to just spend this time with you, Nikki. And, I appreciate your patience. Those who are watching, we've had some technical difficulties, some pauses here and there, and some freezing of the picture and so on. And honestly, this is about the testimony. And I believe that the frequency still goes through in spite of all that. But our
Mm-hmm.
journeys are not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Mm-hmm.
these little hiccups here and there, and sometimes some very big hiccups in our lives. But the message that we want to convey from Testimony Mountain is that Jesus paid for it all, and he causes us to be overcomers. And it's through the word of our testimony and the blood of the Lamb and the word of our testimony that we overcome. And so I'm just so grateful for Nikki for how she supports this platform, as well as what she is doing personally. And so just thank you, Nikki, so much. You're such a blessing.
Thank you, Adina. What an honor. Bye.
And so just encourage you to subscribe, to share this with others, pass the word along. We want this frequency of hope to be released, especially at this time in the holiday season. So wishing and blessing you, each one of you, with a amazing Christmas season, with or without your family, that we have the heavenly family always with us, and believing that can intersect with our families here in the earth realm. So we bless you today, and we'll see you next time on Testimony Mountain.